Hey there! Today I am sharing a Primitive Farmhouse Fall/Christmas DIY. I want to welcome you to Creative by Nature DIY and Decor. My name is Donna. For today's project, you're going to need some 11 by 14 inch canvases on frames. You're going to need a total of 8. Here I am removing some of the staples so I can pull the canvas right off, leaving us with the frame. Now sometimes it's difficult to get those staples out, so feel free to leave them in place if you feel you need to. Here I just went in and tore off the canvas and left the staples behind. I used a combination of a craft knife and some wire cutters, and I also used a palette knife because it has a really thin tip, so it's able to get underneath staples, or it was able to help me pull the canvas out if it was really tight. So my frames are all ready to go, and I'm going to start off with 4 of them. I'm going to place them out in a window pattern and then give them a coat of paint in lush green foliage. And again, I'm just giving it 1 coat. So I am so excited to let you all know that this is in collaboration with my friend Mia from Make It With Mia. We are both bringing some Fall Farmhouse DIYs. I'm going to have her channel linked down below for you to check it out. She is so talented and makes lots of cool stuff. So once your frames are all painted and dry, you can flip them over and do the back side. Just giving 1 coat of the craft paint allows the wood grain to show through, and I really like that farmhouse look. Here our frames are all dry, and now I'm just going to figure out my placement and then start to glue all the pieces together. So I'm going to start off by just gluing 2 of the frames together, and then I'll be gluing the other 2 together, and then we'll glue all 4 of them together. An alternative to using the hot glue would be to use some wood glue, but I just wanted a really quick bond, so for this part I am just using the hot glue gun. Now, just to add some stability to all my seams, I am going to use some craft sticks and again some hot glue and place 1 craft stick here in the middle and just at a few other junction points. Once you have your joints all stable, you're going to go into your fabric stash and see what you've got for some primitive fabrics. I found this beautiful cream colored fabric, and I'm just spreading it out over my frame. I'm cutting it so it's a bit oversized. I want a nice loose and billowy look. So I am just going to cut it out, as you can see here. I'm not doing any measuring. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. And I'm going to cut it over, way over on the side as well, as you see there. I'll fold it into half. I'm going to be making 2 panels. And then once I've got the amount that I need, I will then fold and cut along that fold line. And then you can see here, I have 2 panels. I'm just going to trim off any of the excess just to create a bit more of a straight edge. That'll just help me apply this fabric after we're done this next process. So here I am going to coffee dye my fabric. So if you see in Primitive Farmhouse look, a lot of their fabrics are aged, and I love that look. So I create that look by soaking my fabric in some coffee. You'll want to put it on either a cookie sheet at 175 degrees, watch it very, very carefully, or you can leave it out to air dry. So while I have the fabric in the oven, I decided to add some splatter by mixing some raw umber craft paint and some water and a stiff bristle brush, and just create those splatter marks, as you can see here. I end up changing that part out though, and I'll show you in a bit. My fabric is mostly dry, and you can see all the texture that is created by placing this into the oven. If you don't like that look, then just let your fabric air dry. It'll produce a more solid color. So I'm just ironing it out as best I can, And then we're going to place the fabric on top of our frame. So here I'm adding a little dollop of hot glue on the top corner and I'm putting my fabric into place. And what we're doing here is creating a faux curtain. So I'm just going to glue a couple of the corners down and then I'm going to start folding our fabric to create some pleats. And as you can see, I'm using my hot glue gun for this part. It works really, really well. I just fold my fabric over onto the glue. Be careful not to burn yourself. You could use some finger protectors if you need them. And just continue to fold your fabric until you get it across on your frame. I do end up changing the placement of my fabric and I'll show you what I did here. I just didn't feel like it looked quite right where I placed it halfway through. But first I am gluing the edge of my fabric down to the side of our window frame as you see here. So you're going to be doing the same thing on the other side with the other fabric panel. And here I'm just going to show you what I end up changing out. So I didn't like where my fabric had ended. So I pulled off one side and I decided to stretch it right across the panel as you see here. I glue that down and then I just continue to do what I did before, just kind of pleated and scrunched and folded the fabric into the glue. Now, just so you know, the fabric is a lot bigger than what the frame is, but that will create the pleats and the billowy look that a curtain has. So I readjust each side of the curtain panels onto our frame. So making that adjustment gives this a more realistic curtain look. I think it turned out so well. I love this primitive look. So I wasn't crazy about the splatter marks that I created. So I decided to dry brush my raw umber paint onto the frame. And I thought that gave it a bit more of a primitive look and also helped to dull down that bright green color. I really like how this looks a lot better. It definitely has more of an aged and primitive look to it now. So now on to the next 4 frame panels. I am staining these ones with some walnut stain, but I didn't like how cinnamon color it was, so I added some black craft paint to the walnut gel stain, and that created more of a dark walnut color, and I like that so much better. It looks really old and I love that look, a lot more primitive and farmhouse looking. So I'm just going to coat the entire frame with our stain and allow it to dry. Here I have all 4 of my frames done and I'm flipping them upside down, and then I'm going to be gluing everything together. So I'm just going to be using the same technique as I did before to glue all the frames together. I'll also be using the craft sticks, but I'm not adding the craft sticks to all the same joints, and you'll see here. And the next step here, you're going to need some tacky glue or wood glue, and I have my bottle upside down for ease of use. And this is where I am going to be applying the glue to the craft sticks. And those craft sticks are actually going to adhere to the other frame, as you'll see here in a moment. So I've added all the glue onto those craft sticks. I also added some to the top of our fabric and the bottom of our fabric. And now we're going to place the stained frame onto the fabric covered frame, as you see here. And those craft sticks is what's adhering to each other. So now I'm just adding a bit of weight by using some books, and I'm going to allow it to dry. The tacky glue holds really fast. Here is the frame just as is up on my fireplace in the green, and then the stain. You could leave them as is, but I'm going to decorate mine for fall. Here I have this homemade grapevine wreath, and I'm going to cover it with this leaf garland. It's so pretty, perfect for fall. I'm not gluing this into place, I'm just weaving it around my grapevine wreath. And you can use whatever you have on hand. And then next I'm going to be adding these pip berries that are classic for that primitive farmhouse style. And I'm going to weave them in and around our grapevine wreath as well. They are wired, which is great. It'll help to hold your leaf garland into place. I picked up these pip berries from Dollar Tree. They have been carrying a great selection. So I'm just going to continue to add the berries. Love how this is looking. It's so simple and easy. You can see that here. And then for an added touch, I'm adding these primitive starlights that I had made. I will link the video for you down below so you can see how I made these. I'm just going to weave them in around the leaves. Again, these are on wire, so it makes it very easy to add these. So now I need a hanger for this, and I'm just bending a wire, and then I make the adjustment here, and you can see how I added it to our frame. I already had the garland and the pip berries in place. Now I'm adding these primitive candles that I made. Again, it's in the same video as my primitive starlights. So you can see I place them on this side, and then I place another set on the other side of our frame. This is so simple and easy to put together. Next, I'm just gonna add these pip berry stems that I had in my stash just for a little pop of color, and it just helps to fill in that garland as you see there. And that's it. I am gonna also show you how you can switch it out using the same techniques for Christmas here in a moment. I am so happy with how this turned out. It's so warm and cozy and inviting. Definitely has that primitive fall farmhouse look I wanted to go for. And now to show you with just a few changes, you have a Christmas look. I used all the same types of elements, just very easy, weaving some pip berries and keeping my primitive candles up. Here I've changed out the wreath for an evergreen wreath and just added some pip berries, and again our primitive starlights and a primitive star ornament. I'll have that video linked down below for you as well. I would absolutely love to know what you think of this project by leaving me a comment down below. I want to say a big thank you to Mia for joining me today. Don't forget to go and check out her video, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.